This is Duels Down Under, and we are here today to talk OCG Forbidden and Limited List. My name is Gordon, and I would like to thank you for joining us here. Please feel free to hit that like button, click that subscribe button, and of course, leave a comment down below with what you think of the video. Today's topic, like you can see in the thumbnail, will be the OCG Forbidden List that dropped the other day. We're going to talk about the cards that were on the list, the cards that were taken off the list, and of course, the most important thing, the implications that might be the case for the TCG. Let's talk about the forbidden cards first. There were 3 added to the list, and those 3 are on your screen now. Eclipse Wyvern, Guard Dragon, Agapane, and Soul Charge. As good as Soul Charge is, I've got to say, it's definitely one of my favorite cards ever. I played Infernities when it was at 3, and boy oh boy, was that card an absolute monster. It is good to see it finally getting hit. It is degenerate, paying 5,000 life points to bring back 5 monsters. We all know life points mean nothing until you get to 0. So it's definitely fair to say that it is a good hit on that list. Eclipse Wyvern, the OCG following suit with the TCG here and getting rid of that card out of the game altogether. It's safe to say that it's interesting, and the reason behind that would be that it is just another way to get more cards back in the hand. It is not hard to banish a card from the graveyard anymore, so getting that card that it sends to the graveyard or the banish zone isn't a big deal. I guess it is a great way to slow down that Dragon Link deck that is taking the OCG meta by storm currently. The final card I think we need to talk about, and probably a more lengthy discussion, is Guard Dragon Agapane. The Guard Dragon deck is causing huge problems over here in the TCG. It is pretty damn good if you ask me, and finding a way to slow it down here and in the OCG is going to be quite important. I know over here in the TCG people are talking about Guard Dragon LP making its way onto the list, but over in the OCG they seem to have a more direct route when dealing with problems like the Guard Dragon engine, and they've gone straight to the source. The card that brings out the dragon monster from the extra deck is the one that needs to be hit. LP I don't have a problem with. On its own, Red MD isn't a huge deal, and neither is Omni Dragon Brotor, but the fact that it can go straight into Agapane and bring a problem card out from the extra deck, that's where YuGiOh becomes a little bit unfair, and that's where the guys in the TCG need to do their addressing. I'm sure that they've got their heads together, and they are hopefully going to take the same route there. But moving on to the limited cards, 6 in total made the list. A couple were peeled back from the banned list, and a couple made their way onto the limited list here. We have Dragonic Diagram and Zodiac Barrage coming back from ban status and making their way back into the game at 1. Pretty simple. We see this all the time with our own ban list here. It's about time that those cards came back. We've had Barrage at 3 this whole time, and we see a few games every now and again where Zodiacs do a little bit, but nothing that would ever think that they're going to take over the meta. Whatever those extra deck monsters are on the list to some extent, that deck is pretty much dead, full stop. Let the players play, let them have their fun with the deck, because it was a really fun deck to play. True Dracos, on the other hand, still have quite a representation. Masterpiece, we don't have it. I'm not sure if the OCG has it. Let me know in the comments down below, but I can see Dragonic Diagram at 1. Yeah, of course, let the True Draco players have a little bit of fun. It is such a good card. It brings the deck back to life. Without it, it is really hard to make that engine work at all. So by all means, let them have it at 1 copy and see how it is. I can see it coming back to 3 in no time anyway. It's not like it's going to be a tier 1 or top meta deck choice for anyone playing. It'll it'll pop up in tops every now and again, but it won't be a huge deal. Now to the cards that have been added to the list, we've got Draco Net. Just another starter card here, I guess. It's a Cyberverse. You can fish it out using Cynet mining, and it sends something to the graveyard, and making everything in the graveyard live. It kind of tutors out problem cards for the deck, and it just gets combo started, and anything that the OCG can implement to slow down the Dragon Link combo. They were playing this. They're playing a lot of other engines as well to try and just speed up that deck and getting it out as quickly as they can. So this is probably a good move. It'll make them pick another line of play when taking on those Dragon Link deck profiles. Mystic Mind going. I don't have to say anything about this. I'm sure you all agree with me here. It needed to go, and I am glad that it did. TCG, I hope you are watching. The OCG, make it happen. Metaverse getting hit, Terraforming get a hit was not enough. We want to see Mystic Mind gone as well. Sorry, to Skull Dread. Yeah, look, it's coming out in a reprint. We all know that it's on the chopping block, whether it's this list, whether it's the next list. At 1, it's a good card. It's quite a fair card. Bit of replenishing here. It does cost 4 monsters. It does get a special summon as well. It's a good card when you can get it out, but at 3 it becomes unfair, and the game doesn't need anything like that. So by all means, at 1 is great. TCG again should follow suit on this. White Dragon Wyver Burster, not a huge issue there, I don't think. It is a problem card in regards to getting those banished dark dragons. Being able to simply banish it to get back, and then when it goes to the graveyard it gets another card from the deck. I think not limiting both of them. We all know dark dragons are the most played dragons at the moment, so the light dragon is obviously the best one to hit. It'll search out 1 copy of Collar Serpent, and that's it, and there shouldn't be too many other issues with that. That's it for the limited section. So let's go on to the semi-limited now, and it's great to see that elemental hero Shadow Mist is back in the OCG at more than 1 copy. We all know hero fans are united in the OCG. They love their heroes, and getting Shadow Mist back is definitely a good move. It'll get the old hero players excited to play their decks again. Predaplant Ophrys Scorpio. Well, it's a great engine, but we don't see it that much. I know over here in the TCG we don't see it. In the OCG, probably a little bit more popular, but I can see that it coming back to 2 will make people probably try this again. A bit of Lone Fire Blossom action there will always make this deck or this engine live. The deck itself isn't much, but the engine is quite a good engine to search out those fusion cards like Brilliant Fusion, Super Polymerization, Instant Fusion, whatever you might need at the time. Lady Debug. Looks like we know that the Cyberverse are the new monster type coming out. They need to get as much support as they can without giving too many the advantage. Salomon Great's a little bit dead now, so it is good to see that them peeling back some of these cards that are going to help some of the other Cyberverse decks out. I've been playing around with the Marincess deck and having Lady Debug at 1. I'm probably not going to use that card in that deck, but there are other Cyberverse strategies out there that will need it, and I'm sure the old favourite Salomon Great players are going to have a little bit of rekindled spirit when it comes to their deck, having another copy of Lady Debug to get the ball rolling on those first turn plays. Interrupt Kaiju Slumber. Yeah, there's not much to say about this card. We've had this back at 3 for a format now, and it hasn't done much at all. You see it pop up in side decks every now and again, and unless someone really finds a way to break the Kaiju archetype, there's not really anything to say about this. Great side deck cards. It's a great side deck engine if you want to go all in with it and add 5, 6, 7 cards to your side deck just solely dedicated to the Kaiju monsters and support cards, but I can't really see it causing too much problem. It'll be back at 3 at the next list as well. Spiral Resort is a bit interesting because we all know that Spirals were tier 0. Everyone played them and they were absolutely devastating. I can see that I do know people who are playing Spiral engines now with Orcust and other stuff like that, and it is still doing damage. It's never going to be tier 1 again while there are other cards on the list, but if they've got multiple copies of drones and quick fix, the 1 copy of a Spiral Resort could be quite dangerous for them, or the 2 copies, of Spiral Resort will be quite dangerous. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out over the coming weeks. Reasoning back to 2. Now, this is something where I think the TCG need to follow suit. We've got Monster Gate back at 3. Yes, it does cost you a monster, but it also guarantees you a monster as well. Monster Gate back at 3. We've seen next to no play whatsoever. So why not Reasoning as well? Reasoning is a powerful card, but yeah, you need to really get lucky with what you sent to the graveyard through that mill. True Draco Face-Off. I don't know whether it was Robbie Cole or John at House of Champs, but he said it exactly correct when it comes to this. To play this card, you need to be playing bad cards with it. So bring it back to 3. If you want to fill your deck with bad cards, by all means do that. True Draco Face-Off was damaging in the Performer Pal or the Draco Pal era, but I think we're way past that now, and it's about time that it comes off. It'll peel back to 3 and it won't really do anything. The next card I want to talk about is the one that's probably the most exciting for me, and that is a 1-for-1. Think about all of those awesome level 1 monsters that just need that little bit of help getting out onto the field. As an Infernoid player, I know that Decatron needs a bit of help coming out, and having discard fodder like those big mummy and daddy Infernoids is great to get them in the graveyard, and then bringing the Decatron out from deck is great. I'm sure that there are people who are playing Altergeist out there who are really interested to see whether the TCG will follow suit with this card as well. Meliseek first turn is always quite a good option as well, getting it in the graveyard as soon as possible to search out that lone copy of a Multifaker. That's it for the semi-limited monsters. Now there are a few monsters and a few cards that peeled off the list as well, so let's have a look at those. Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. Now, any card that causes some sort of hand loop or any card that affects your opponent's hand, I think need to be tread carefully with. We're not seeing too many issues over here in the TCG. We've got Omega at 1 and stuff like that. Aqua Dolphin was around for a little while but wasn't causing too much damage. Gumblar's gone. I guess Trishula's okay to bring back to 3. Synchros aren't a big thing that much anymore, but I'm sure there's someone out there who's going to totally bust the card and bring it back. ABC Buster Dragon. ABCs are a great deck. They're quite a consistent deck, but they just don't have the power that they used to have. I think bringing it back to 3 won't be a problem at all. We'll see it played a little bit more. People are going to probably top regionals with it, but it's not going to be too devastating to the meta. When I say devastating to the meta, I talk about Dark Arm Dragon coming back to 3. Now, this one can go either way. It's going to pop up a lot or it's not going to pop up at all. We've seen these big powerhouse cards that have been banned or limited for such a long time being peeled off the list. People try and break them again, but they just can't do it because they're just too slow. Think about how fast we fill our graveyards up now. It's probably not possible to get 3 dark monsters and then find a copy of Dark Arm Dragon in your hand at that time, because our graveyards fill up way too quickly these days with monsters. So it'll be interesting to see if people do try and put a deck together to run Dark Arm Dragon at more than 1 copy. I'd like to have a go. What about you? Let me know. Is it going to be a threat, or will it just fade out with some of those other cards that have been peeled off the list because they're just too old to be competitive these days? TG Hyper Librarian. I love this card. I was playing the deck with the Synchro Fusionist, and this card is great, giving you a few draws here and there. Boy oh boy, it's fun. When you fill your hand up with extra cards just because you've got this card on the field is great. Can't really see it being played at more than 1 in any Synchro deck though, but I guess time will tell. Necros Cycle. Necros, I know in the TCG they're peeling stuff off the list all the time. It's not really doing a lot in the format, but I guess time will tell to see if they can do something in the OCG with it. It is probably one of the best fusion card, ritual cards that they do have in the deck, so it'll be good to see. We didn't have this limited at all, so it's interesting to see it limited in the OCG, but time will tell, I guess. I do like the Necros. deck, but I just think it is so old now, it'll never be what it once was. Limiter removal. I haven't seen this card on the table since it absolutely wrecked me playing Cosmos. Have to be honest, it's a great card, but it's not that good. Yeah, so it can be at 3, it could be at 5, and people probably still aren't going to play it. It is a good, it is a good quick play spell, and seeing Cyber Dragons pop up in the meta a little bit more is interesting. But I still don't think they're playing limiter removal in any of the lists that we're seeing. It's usually Cyber Dragon Orca, so I just guess there's no space for it. And the final card to talk about here is Solemn Strike. Bringing the Solemn Brigade back to full power. I think that the OCG have Solemn Warning at 3 as well, or 2. So if you think 3 Judgment, 2 or 3 Warning, and 3 Solemn Strike, let's not talk about Scolding because that's the junk one. But you've got 8 or 9 Solemn cards. That's a lot of life points you're getting rid of there. But boy, oh boy, if you see some of those in the right order, you are going to do some absolute slaying in that back row. It will be quite interesting to see how these peel-offs and how these new additions to the list will change the OCG meta. In terms of the TCG, I have noticed a few cards spiking in price, but the high rarity copies of 1-for-1, I think, they've always been quite high, so I wouldn't worry too much about those. Things like Dark Arm Dragon, I have a couple of ultis that I keep tabs on the price on, and they don't seem to be moving too much at all, so I guess people in the TCG aren't really that interested in terms of value, I guess. We do know that it's such a different game over here in the TCG, so whatever happens in the OCG, while there might be a little bit of crossover eventually, I wouldn't be too worried about what's going on. 2 different metas, 2 different situations, and of course we do have 2 very, very different ban lists going on. I know I'm not going to be too worried about the OCG ban list impacting our game too much. The thing that I can see happening is that one of the Guard Dragons is going to go. I don't think it'll be Agapane. I personally think it'll be LP. I can see Sarah Yuji going to 1. I would like to see 1-for-1 come back to more than 1 copy as well as Reasoning. But that's just all a pipe dream, I think. The guys in the TCG definitely know what they're doing, so fingers crossed they have the players' best interests at heart and they will take care of business as usual. The last thing I need to say is a thank you for tuning into this OCG ban list update. Please, like I said at the start of the video, give me a like. Tell me what you thought of the video in the comment section down below. Do you think any of these cards will have a huge implication on the TCG, whether it's the TCG match play or the market value? I like I said, I can't say too much about it because I don't follow the OCG too much, but it all sort of makes sense to me. We want to stop the problems. We want to get everyone a chance to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And of course, those old cards on the list need to go. I'll talk to you later, YouTube. Thank you for tuning in, and tune in next time.